For centuries, skeptics argued that Pontius Pilate was nothing more than a character in a religious story. No Roman inscription bearing his name, no physical evidence he ever governed Judea, no archaeological proof that the man who sentenced Jesus to crucifixion had ever existed outside the pages of the New Testament. Just a name and a gospel. Convenient, they said, for a narrative that needed a villain. Then, in 1961, an Italian archaeological team excavating a Roman theater in Caesarea Maritima found a limestone block. It had been reused, flipped over and carved into a step in a staircase. When they turned it over, they found 4 lines of Latin that changed everything. I am your guide through the evidence that connects scripture to soil, belief to bone, and history to the artifacts buried beneath our feet. This is the story of the Pilate stone. The first question any investigation must answer is deceptively simple. Who was Pontius Pilate, according to the historical record we possessed before 1961? The New Testament presents Pilate as the Roman governor of Judea during the reign of Emperor Tiberius, the man with the authority to execute criminals, the man before whom Jesus of Nazareth stood trial. All 4 Gospels name him. The trial before Pilate is one of the few events recorded in every Gospel account. But the Gospels were written by followers of Jesus. They had a theological agenda, and for centuries, that was all critics needed. Outside the New Testament, the sources were thin. The Jewish historian Josephus mentions Pilate in 2 passages. The philosopher Philo of Alexandria describes him as inflexible, stubborn, and cruel. The Roman historian Tacitus references Pilate in a single sentence in his Annals, confirming that Christus suffered the extreme penalty under Pontius Pilate during the reign of Tiberius. But Tacitus wrote 80 years after the crucifixion. This was the case: Josephus, Philo, Tacitus. Each a reference, none an inscription. No stone, no physical artifact bearing the name Pontius Pilate. For a Roman governor of a minor province, this absence was not unexpected. Most provincial governors left no archaeological trace, but skeptics weaponized the absence. If Pilate was real, where was his inscription? Where was the physical evidence? Not a manuscript copied centuries later, but a stone carved during his own lifetime. For 19 centuries, the answer was nowhere. Then the ground started talking. Caesarea Maritima, the great port city built by Herod the Great on the Mediterranean coast of Israel. By 1961, an Italian archaeological expedition led by Antonio Frova had been excavating the Roman theater, a structure built by Herod and renovated over centuries of Roman rule. During the excavation, the team uncovered a limestone block. It was not where it originally belonged. It had been repurposed, valuable stone reused, the inscribed face hidden, flipped over, and incorporated into a staircase. When the archaeologists turned it over, 4 lines of damaged but legible Latin emerged. The surviving text reads, Tiberium, Pontius Pilatus, Praefectus Iudae, a building dedicated to Tiberius, dedicated by Pontius Pilate, prefect of Judea. Let us be rigorous. Let us examine what this stone actually tells us. First, the name. Pontius Pilatus, carved into limestone during the reign of Tiberius, between 14 and 37 AD. This is not a later copy. This is not a medieval manuscript. This is a contemporary inscription, a stone carved during Pilate's own lifetime by workers acting under his authority. Second, the title. Praefectus Iudae, prefect of Judea. For centuries, scholars debated Pilate's precise administrative rank. Some argued he would have been a procurator, a financial administrator, rather than a prefect, a military governor. The Gospels use the general Greek term hegemon, governor, which does not resolve the question. But the stone settles it. Pilate was a prefect. He commanded troops. He held the power of life and death. This aligns precisely with what the Gospels describe: a man with the authority to order an execution. Third, the location. The stone was dedicated in Caesarea Maritima, the Roman administrative capital of Judea. This is precisely where a Roman prefect would have conducted official business. The Gospels describe Pilate traveling to Jerusalem for the Passover, a journey from Caesarea that matches everything we know about Roman administrative practice in the province. Fourth, the structure. The Tiberium, a building dedicated to the Emperor Tiberius. This tells us Pilate was performing the duties of a Roman governor, honoring the emperor, constructing public buildings, leaving his name in stone. This is not the behavior of a fictional character. This is the behavior of a Roman administrator doing what Roman administrators did. Now, let us examine the alternative explanations. Alternative 1. The inscription is a forgery. Answer. The stone was excavated by a professional archaeological team from the University of Milan, found in situ in a stratified context within the Roman theater. It was not purchased from an antiquities dealer. The patina, the tool marks, the letter forms, all are consistent with first-century Roman epigraphy. No credible scholar today argues for forgery. Alternative 2. The inscription refers to a different Pontius Pilate. Answer. The combination of the name Pontius Pilatus, the title Praefectus Iudaeae, the location Caesarea, and the dating to the reign of Tiberius, the probability that this refers to anyone other than the Pilate of the Gospels is negligible. Pontius is a rare Roman family name. The coincidence required for a different Pontius Pilatus to have governed Judea during Tiberius strains credulity past the breaking point. Alternative 3. The stone proves Pilate existed, but tells us nothing about the Gospel narratives. Answer. Partially true, and this is where we must be honest. The stone does not mention Jesus. It does not describe a trial. It does not confirm a crucifixion. But this is not what the stone was for. The stone establishes something more fundamental. The man existed. He governed. He held the title the Gospels assign him. Before 1961, skeptics denied all of these. The stone removes each objection, one line of Latin at a time. This is what we call a convergence of evidence. The Pilate stone does not stand alone. We have Tacitus, a Roman historian with no sympathy for Christianity, confirming that Christ suffered the extreme penalty under Pontius Pilate. We have Josephus, a Jewish historian writing for a Roman audience, describing Pilate's governorship in detail. We have Philo, recording Pilate's character and conflicts. We have coins minted during Pilate's administration, bearing symbols consistent with his reported governance. None of these lines of evidence standing alone proves the gospel account. But when they converge, when a contemporary inscription, a Roman historian, a Jewish historian, a Jewish philosopher, and numismatic evidence all point to the same man governing the same province during the same period with the same title, the burden of explanation shifts. If this investigation has challenged your assumptions or strengthened them, enlist in our next expedition. Hit the subscribe button right now. The ground has not finished speaking. There is a deeper lesson in the Pilate stone. For centuries, the standard applied to the Bible was different from the standard applied to any other ancient text. If the Bible mentioned a person, skeptics demanded contemporary corroboration. If no corroboration was immediately available, they concluded the person never existed. This is not how historians treat other ancient sources. No one doubts the existence of Socrates because we lack a contemporary inscription. No one doubts Boudica because our sources were written by her enemies. The Pilate stone is a reminder that absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. It is a reminder that the ancient world has preserved only a fraction of what once existed. It is a reminder that archaeology is not finished. In 1961, a limestone block in Caesarea confirmed that Pontius Pilate was real. What other confirmations lie beneath the soil, waiting for the spade and the trowel, waiting for the moment when the ground decides to speak again? The ground keeps confirming the book. I am your guide through the evidence that connects scripture to soil, belief to bone, and history to the artifacts buried beneath our feet. Subscribe now. Our next investigation goes where the evidence leads.